Good evening. This is Rick Olson with the Prior Lake Rotary Club. Together with Bruce Moreland from the Northfield Rotary Club, we will make a presentation concerning the Braver Angels with Malice Towards None initiative. I'll share my screen here. Tonight, we'll give you some information about the Braver Angels organization. We'll do an overview of the With Malice Towards None initiative, talk about the With Malice Towards None pledge, discuss the Braver Angels core values and the Rotary four-way test, talk about some psychological biases, do a values exercise, which will be co-moderated with Bruce McKenzie and Rick Olson and myself, and we'll do a checkout. Now, Braver Angels started as the Better Angels, coming off of Lincoln's first inaugural address in which he was calling us to use the better angels of our nature. But due to a copyright problem, the name was changed to Braver Angels in 2020. Now, it began as a civil citizens organization uniting red and blue Americans in a working alliance to depolarize America. We try to understand the other side's point of view, even if we don't agree with it. We engage those who disagree with, looking for common ground and ways to work together. And we support principles that bring us together rather than divide us. Now, the challenge that we all face is that on November 4th, the day after the presidential election, that could be the most divisive day in modern US history, no matter who wins. The challenge is, given our current national stress and the anticipated antagonisms of the presidential campaign, the days and weeks after election are likely to bring a historical level of polarization, no matter who wins. 60 million Americans will be very upset with another 60 million, and political leaders may feed the anger and contempt. Braver Angels came up with this Malice Towards None initiative based on the inspiration from Lincoln's second inaugural address, where he was calling for with malice towards none, with charity for all, in the aftermath of the Civil War. Because after the election is determined, we're going to have some people who are very, very excited and happy, and some people who are going to be very much in the doom and gloom. We will see evidence of the four horsemen of polarization: stereotyping, dismissing, ridiculing, and showing contempt. We'll be tempted, whether we win or lose, to use stereotyping, thinking those people who voted on the other side vote the same way because they are the same kind of people. There's no need to understand them in a complex way. Or we may be dismissing them. Most people on the other side didn't know what they were voting for. Losers might say. They will be clueless as their leaders run our country into the ground. Winners, on the other hand, think, we're in charge now. They have nothing to contribute. Or we may use ridiculing. They are fools. Let them eat their MAGA hats, or let them eat their face masks. Or we may be showing contempt. Just think they are ignorant dupes or just plain hypocrites. Now, these would have negative consequences because the potential effects on our personal life would be conflict, withdrawal, or cutoffs with family members or friends or neighbors or coworkers who voted the other way and won't admit their error. It could have potential effects on civil engagement with people becoming warriors, opposition guerrilla fighters, or simply alienated bystanders. Now, we have the opportunity to be proactive to head off a train wreck by inviting Americans to consider how they want to regard and treat those on the other side of the election, and to pre-commit to participating in healing activities after the election. To be clear, With Malice Towards None is not about covering over strong political differences or encouraging people to support whoever wins the election. It is about a commitment to respect the humanity of those who differ from us and to forge connections for civic work across differences. Now, Braver Angels has come up with this Malice Towards None pledge, saying Regardless of how the election turned out, I will not hold hate, disdain, or ridicule for those who voted differently from me. Whether I am pleased or upset about the outcome, I will seek to understand the concerns and aspirations of those who voted differently. And we'll look for opportunities to work with people with whom I disagree. You are asked, Braver Angels is asking you to sign the pledge at that link there, which will be pasted in the chat box. Now, the core values of Braver Angels that we will use in our later values exercise tonight will show respect. We will talk about our fellow citizens on the other side with respect for their intelligence and goodwill. We will avoid characterizing them as deserving or disdain or pity. We use humility. We will talk about our own side with the knowledge that our leaders are not perfect, that our current policy solutions are not complete answers to our nation's complex problems. We will use honesty. We will allow people to feel what they are feeling about the election. We will not ask them to hide their satisfaction and joy if their side won, or their grief and anger if their side lost. We will demonstrate responsible citizenship. We will emphasize that it is up to all of us, we the people, to depolarize our politics and meet our common challenges. You will be interested in knowing that John Huco, the General Secretary and CEO of Rotary International, is a Braver Angels member who said, regardless of who wins the 2020 election, it will be up to us as citizens and civic leaders to renew our commitment to building goodwill and civic friendships. That's why I am supporting the With Malice Toward None initiative by Braver Angels. I encourage civic leaders everywhere to join and get involved. Now we'll switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about what actually causes polarization. Jonathan Haidt wrote a book called The Righteous Mind, Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion. He argues that humans have 6 moral foundations through which we view politics and policy and explain our political preferences. He thinks these are somewhat innate traits passed down through DNA and then obviously our experiences in life. He thinks the 6 moral foundations are on 2 sides of the coin: care or harm, fairness or cheating, loyalty or betrayal, authority, subversion, sanctity or degradation, liberty and oppression. Now, to help understand those a little bit, there's a chart here. It shows that the care harm foundation could be triggered by the awe factors like baby seals or cute cartoon characters, with a characteristic emotion being compassion. Relevant value may be caring or kindness. And for fairness and cheating, triggers could be marital fidelity, or on the other side, broken vending machines. Characteristic emotions could be anger or gratitude or guilt. Relative values could be fairness, justice, trustworthiness. Loyalty betrayal foundation could be triggered by sports teams or nations. Characteristic emotions may be group pride, rage at traitors. Relevant values may be called loyalty, patriotism, or self-sacrifice. The authority subversion foundation could be triggered by bosses or respected professionals. Characteristic emotions may be respect or fear. And relevant values could be obedience or deference. The sanctity and degradation triggers could be taboo ideas like communism or racism. Characteristic emotions could be discussed. Relevant values could be temperance, chastity, piety, and cleanliness. Liberty and oppression foundation triggers could be tyrants, bullies, dominators. Characteristic emotions, resentment or hatred. Relevant values, solidarity, sympathy for oppressed or individual freedom. Now, these are all preconditions or so forth that we sort of bring to life as either a red or a blue. But Haidt believes that liberals have a 3 foundation morality, whereas conservatives use all 6. For example, he believes that liberals really look to the 3 foundations of care and harm, fairness and cheating, and liberty and oppression, with the more conservative people tending to use all 6 of these foundations. Well, whether that's true or not, we bring these preconceived fe- feelings or values, and then that is confirmed by confirmation bias, that we favor things that confirm our existing beliefs. We are primed to see and agree with ideas that fit our preconceptions. And in fact, we seek out that information. And we tend to ignore and dismiss information that conflicts with them. It's as this diagram shows, we may have a theory and then we go to find evidence to support it, and it goes round and round and confirms our preconceived ideas. To help counteract the confirmation bias influence, we ought to presume ourselves wrong until proven right. We need to think of our ideas and beliefs as software we're actively trying to find problems with, rather than things to be defended. Richard Feynman says the first principle is that you must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. This cartoon demonstrates that, and one scientist says, "Did you read my paper on confirmation bias?" The other one says, "Yes, but it only proved what I already knew." So, and this confirmation bias is shown by the news sources that the Republicans and Democrats access, with the Republicans really favoring Fox News by 65%. And on the other side, the Blues or Democrats, the leading Democrats, we look CNN at 67%. PBS, Democrats see by 56%. It's not even on the Republican list. On the other hand, CNN is not on the Republican list. We seek out information that confirms what we already believe. Now that would be bad enough, except that it would get accentuated by the digital echo chamber, because the algorithms of Facebook and Twitter feedback others' posts that are similar to ones we've liked. The result is that we get posts that are close to our thinking and reinforces our preconceived ideas. On the other hand, posts that are dissimilar to what we like are not fed to us. It's like living in a bubble or an echo chamber. This is confirmation bias on steroids. Now, this is made even worse by the Dunning-Kruger effect, because the more you know, the less confident you're likely to be. It's easy to be, on the other hand, it's easy to be overconfident. We have only a simple idea of how things are. So don't give much credence to lay people who appear confident but only have superficial knowledge. However, because experts know just how much they don't know, they tend to underestimate their ability. So try not to make the mistake of cautiousness of experts as a lack of understanding. Now, this diagram kind of demonstrates what they were talking about. If you have a little bit of knowledge, man, you are very confident about what you know, and wow, you're just sort of in blissful ignorance. But as you learn more, you realize, it may not be as simple as that. To the point you reach, like you may think, you may not know much of it at all. And if you become more and more expert at that, your confidence rises again. Bertrand Russell says the whole problem with the world is that fools and fanatics are so certain of themselves, yet wiser people so full of doubts. Or we could fall back on the old saying, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. The result is that people with superficial knowledge think they're informed. That's why you can be an expert in everything. So people who don't agree with them must simply be misinformed or duped. The result is that the United States has become increasingly divided. There is growing animosity toward the other political party. Each side, Republicans and Democrats, just think the other side is very unfavorable. So that's where we are today. So let's talk about what we might do after the elections. Organizations that want to go deeper could hold separate gatherings after the elections. And we may follow up with joint gatherings that bring both groups together. After the election, a presentation could be given by a red and a blue in the organization with their commitment to hold malice toward none and present opportunities for others to do Braver Angels work. So for those of you might be inclined to do something, contact us and we can put you in contact with the resources to do these things. Now, next we'll have a values exercise, but before that, we'll go into questions.